some sniff checks. They're going to pick up those main parachutes. As Dragon splashed down, the chutes were immediately cut to make sure there's no safety issues there. So we'll pick up those main parachutes up.
All right, in case you've just tuned in, the Dragon spacecraft with Shubhanshu Shukla on board has successfully splashed down off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean just a few moments back. It's been an entirely safe process. The splashdown was absolutely nominal. On the right-hand side of your screen, you've got photos from CMS Lucknow, and you can see the parents of Shubhanshu Shukla. His mother, extremely emotional. She has been for a while. But these are tears of joy, from tears of stress and nervousness to tears of joy at this stage, as that family rightfully gets emotional at this stage. This brings to an end, essentially, what has been a fairly remarkable mission. Let's go back to what Axiom Space is saying in their commentary. And in a little while from now, we expect Shubhanshu Shukla and the rest of the mission to actually move to the craft next to them and get back to a ship, and before they are brought back to San Diego.
Dragon then automatically saves any pyrotechnics still present on the vehicle and may automatically perform additional minor system reconfigurations. The astronauts remain seated and in their suits at this point, but the onboard air conditioning keeps temperatures in check inside the spacecraft, and the communication systems on board remain powered so the crew can continue to communicate.
And as we're watching, SpaceX has 2 fast boats in the recovery fleet, which move very quickly to get to the splashdown point. And those are being followed by Shannon, the main recovery vessel, which will move into position upwind of the spacecraft. The 2 fast boats have very specific roles here in these operations. The first fast boat makes initial contact and is focused on immediate safety inspection of the vehicle, checking for vehicle integrity and any presence of hypergolic propellant vapors. This ensures that it's safe for Shannon to approach the Dragon spacecraft. Now, once Dragon is cleared for full approach, the team begins rigging the spacecraft for water recovery by the recovery ship. The second fast boat is responsible for parachute recovery and also serves a redundant boat to the first. So we'll see a team member. We'll also see a team member on a jet ski helping to get.
After accomplishing a successful voyage, and after having conducted some of the very vital life-bearing experiments never done before, and therefore, as I said, today, indeed, Bharat has found an enduring space in the world of space. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And as you all know, the chronology of it that would follow, all of them would be in the quarantine for over next 1 week, maybe up to 23rd. And from 24th onwards, they would be having team discussions with the experts from the ISRO. Then for the next 3-4 days that we continue, after which they would be spending time having separate discussions with the representatives of Axiom, representatives of SpaceX, and representatives of NASA separately. That's called debriefing. And after that is accomplished, which would go on for about maybe nearly 2 weeks, till about 12th or 13th of April. Then they'll start preparations for returning home, in case of Shubhanshu to return back to India. So that could be around 14th or 15th. The preparations will begin. And as of now, we speculate that he should be with us over here on the 17th of August. 17th of August. जैसा मैंने कहा कि विश्व के लिए ये गर्व का पल तो है ही है, भारत के लिए एक अद्भुत आनंद का पल कि भारत मां का एक सुपुत्र आज कामयाबी से लौटा है, एक ऐसे प्रयोग से, एक ऐसी यात्रा से जिसमें बहुत सारे ऐसे एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए गए जो पहले कभी ना किए गए थे, लेकिन जिनका समस्त मानव जाति के लिए महत्व रहेगा। और जैसे मोदी जी हमें हमेशा सिखाते हैं वसुदेव कुटुंबकम, और साथ ही साथ हमें याद करवाते हैं कि भारत को विश्व बंधु बन करके अपनी भूमिका निभानी है। आज वास्तव में विश्व बंधु के रूप में शुभांशु ने हमारी तर्जुमानी करते हुए वो काम वहाँ अंजाम दिया है। और ये कह सकते हैं कि अंतरिक्ष में एक स्थायी स्थान भारत को आज स्थापित करने का अवसर भी रहा, सफलता भी रही. And as I said, in the true spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and also in the true spirit of discharging the role of Vishwabandhu as envisaged by Prime Minister Modi, a son of Mother India has accomplished for the entire mankind some of such experiments which were never conducted before, but which would have a bearing, which would have relevance for the mankind across the world, across the planet Earth. Thank you. और इसमें हाँ वापसी का भी चलिए हिंदी में बता देते हैं कि अभी रात को 11:30 बजे के लगभग वहाँ से उनकी रवानगी होगी. हॉस्टल पहुँचना होगा 8:30 और 9 के बीच में, जो हिंदुस्तानी टाइम है, भारत इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम, 8:30 और 9 के लगभग उनकी रवानगी होगी वहाँ से. अभी वो लैंड हुए हैं ऑफ द कैलिफोर्निया कोस्ट सैन डिएगो में. 8:30-9 बजे के वहाँ से रवाना होने के बाद उसके पश्चात लगभग 2.5-3 घंटे का रास्ता है. 11:30 बजे तक लगभग ह्यूस्टन पहुँचेंगे. अगले 5-6 दिन रिहैबिलिटेशन की एक्सरसाइज चलेगी.
Board the spacecraft.
Yep.
Do some final safety checks and then help begin setting up the rigging for the spacecraft to be lifted out of the water.
That's right. It's all part of a coordination, a choreography of events, right? Getting from spacecraft is in the water. What are the next few steps that have to occur before we can get Dragon onto the recovery vessel Shannon? And this is a very key moment in that.
Yeah, and right now you can see them doing the sniffs, making sure that there's no hazardous gas or chemicals around the vehicle and that it's safe for the team to actually approach and climb onto the spacecraft. And as always, the recovery crew is wearing the PPE necessary to perform these operations. PPE is personal protective equipment.
And it's a good reminder that even in this phase of the mission, we're excited crew is home, but the job's not done yet. We're taking this.
उसके लिए सबको हम आभार प्रकट करते हैं और ईश्वर को धन्यवाद.
आपकी आखिरी बात कल हुई थी, क्या कुछ उस समय बात हुई थी? अब तो पूरा मिशन कंप्लीट हो गया, क्या ईश्वर को धन्यवाद, आप सबको धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद. Spacecraft.
आप लोगों का भी धन्यवाद जो आप लोगों ने इतना सबको दिखाया, पूरी मेहनत की, दुनिया को दिखाया कि कैसे गया और कैसे आया बेटा. मतलब पूरा आप लोगों ने दिखाया, इसके लिए आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
आंटी थोड़ा इमोशनल भी हो गई थी आप उस वक्त जब लैंडिंग.
बेटा इतने दिन बाद लौटा है तो थोड़ा सा भावुक होना बनता है,
लेकिन खुशी है
बहुत ज्यादा.
कल बात हुई थी, क्या कुछ बात हुई थी, क्या कह रहे थे आखिरी समय में?
कल नहीं बात हुई है, परसों बात हुई थी.
धन्यवाद है आपको, धन्यवाद है सबको, धन्यवाद है
सबको, धन्यवाद है. बहुत खुश
पूरा परिवार
बहुत बड़ा मिशन करके आया.
करो आप जाओ इधर.
The best thing. We still have something to watch. आप सब लोगों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. And we are so happy. We have next step right now. Please watch that immediately. It's important one. Very important. He's coming out of the cupola. That cupola. Please watch that.
The team is going to do some medical checks. They are going to do that on a private net. And that's what those comms were, confirming that they are switching the nets that they will be communicating on. And this is just to make sure that the crew is feeling okay.
Exactly right.
Through all those dynamic events.
Yep.
While for us watching Dragon re-enter the Earth's atmosphere from afar, there's a lot going on in that spacecraft there with the crew. So just making sure that the crew is feeling good and checking in with how they're doing.
Exactly. It's an important. as just mentioned, it's a very dynamic phase of flight. And those private medical conferences, or PMCs, with a SpaceX flight surgeon really allow ground teams to be able to make an initial assessment of crew while the team is also, the ground teams outside are continuing to work that rigging. They mentioned it would take about 25 minutes for crew to rig and then hoist.
If you've just tuned in, these are fairly remarkable images, video coming in from off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. That's where the Crew Dragon spacecraft with Shubhanshu Shukla on board has successfully splashed down a couple of minutes back, right on schedule. And at this stage, it's a process. They don't get out of that right away. There are two boats which approach it with crew with very specific tasks. They have to ensure that, in case there are any pyrotechnics, any explosives remaining, from the deployment of the parachutes, which we saw a little while earlier on, those are made safe. Then there is the astronauts on board get onto a separate net for communications, where they'd be communicating with doctors and others on their medical condition, whether they're feeling okay. That essentially would be a formality at this stage. But there was that 6-minute period. It's not unknown, it happens all the time, but it is nonetheless quite dramatic when for a period of 6 minutes shortly before splashing down, their communications go off. Pallav explaining how it has a great deal to do with plasma build-up, temperatures above 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which prevents communications from taking place. And then, of course, there was that one fantastic image. It was an infrared image of the Crew Dragon spacecraft being captured. And then when they were asked on the second go, they said, yes, Crew Dragon.
घर पे भी दिवाली है, घर पे भी दिवाली है। तो शुभांशु की माँ है ये, और जो हमसे बात कर रही थी, जाहिर है जाते और आते वक्त डर लग रहा था, लेकिन अभी खुशी है। और गगनयान मिशन भी जब होगा तब की तब देखी जाएगी, लेकिन फिलहाल इस बात की खुशी है कि बेटा सुरक्षित वापस धरती पर लौट गया। लखनऊ से कैमरा पर्सन राजेश गुप्ता के साथ रणवीर, NDTV इंडिया।
And so it's a bit of a process. What happens now is that these two boats attach the Crew Dragon and then tow it to the mothership. Let's go across to Pallav Bagla, who tells us what happens here.
Well, what has happened is that the Crew Dragon has been cleared, that there are no explosive leaks from its thrusters. And now the ship, which is MV Shannon, motor vessel Shannon, which is SpaceX ship which will recover the Crew Dragon, is going to be approaching the Crew Dragon, and then using a hydraulic lift, it will lift up the Crew Dragon along with the crew inside and then bring them onto the deck of the ship. And after a little while, the astronauts, 4 of them, would emerge from the Grace Crew Dragon. So what we saw was an amazing moment when India's second astronaut to space, Gaganyatri Group Captain Shukla, came back to Earth after his historic 18-day mission to the International Space Station. So he's currently bobbing up and down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego, and very soon he will be hoisted up to the ship, and then using a helicopter, they would take the crew onto the land and from there on to Houston for his rehabilitation and debriefing. So Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla has created history for India by becoming the second Indian to go to space and come back safely. He did close to 60 experiments along with the Hungarian, American and the Polish astronauts. 7 of them were India-specific experiments. There was also some outreach activities with school students, including his alma mater, which is the City Montessori School of Lucknow. And he also participated in a conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where he described India as being bhavya. He also did some onboard outreach in the ham radios, and also participated in a zero-gravity experimentation project for outreach. So Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, who's really part of India's Gaganyaan program, the easy part of Gaganyaan, the first firm steps have been laid. This was a trip which was taken on Falcon 9.
Shall we just listen in to what's happening over here?
Yes.
flying for a second time on a Dragon spacecraft. At SpaceX, we're trying to make these vehicles reusable, just like aircraft when you fly and fly over again multiple times a day. And we're getting closer and closer to that with the same crew members flying again, which is awesome.
And it's important to note, right, that kind of mission-to-mission lineage, right, allows crew members like Peggy Whitson, like Michael Lopez Alegria, to better help inform the next crews that are coming with them, right? The more familiarity that you get with the vehicle, the better equipped you are on your mission. And I, as a personal Peggy super fan, I cannot imagine a more fitting astronaut to be able to give a name to a new vehicle. I love the messaging behind why they chose to name it Grace. And to your point, Jesse, about the frequent flyers, I loved that during launch we could see I don't know if it's a new tradition potentially, but we got to see some boarding passes that SpaceX provided to the AX4 crew, and because of her frequent flyer status, Peggy Whitson got a gold boarding pass, and I absolutely adore that she was able to have that distinction.
Yes, just add it to her resume.
Yeah, you can add it to her resume. SpaceX frequent flyer.
Yeah, I love the boarding passes. Again, always trying to make it as common as aircraft, planes that we fly on every single day.
Exactly.
And we're still just in the beginning, but I feel like we've made a lot of progress in the last 5 years, and we still have a lot of new things, new missions, and improvements that we want to make to, future spacecraft and launch vehicles. So I'm excited for the future. I really do believe that we could get to
right now is the Crew Dragon being towed back to the MV Shannon. That's the mothership. It's sort of being guided back over there. It's going to be lifted onto the deck of the Shannon, and it's over there that you'll see Shubhanshu Shukla and the others emerge from the spaceship. It's not going to be easy. They aren't going to be running out. There's a change in gravity. It feels very different. Getting their full muscle mass back into regular sync is going to take a little period of time. So that's a bit of a process as well. Pallav, I think that's something our viewers need to know, that you don't just sort of run out of the
No, you don't. He's been in space at the International Space Station for 18 days, 21 flight days. So while the muscle mass loss would be lower than compared to the long duration missions which NASA and Russian astronauts do, but yes, there is difficulty in walking when you come out from near zero gravity or microgravity. So we will see Group Captain Shukla and the 3 astronauts being assisted. In fact, Commander Peggy Whitson has said while she goes into space and experiences microgravity, she doesn't face any problems. While she comes back on Earth with gravity in store, she faces a lot of problems. And Group Captain Shukla also mentioned from the International Space Station that when he went up, he faced space sickness. So he says, hopefully, he will not face space sickness because of gravity when he comes out of the Grace capsule. Right now, the Grace capsule is being slowly brought close to the MV Shannon. There's a hydraulic lift which will lift it, and we can see the nest on which the Grace capsule is going to be placed. The Grace capsule is being used for the very first time. It's a maiden flight for this particular spaceship which has been made by SpaceX, and this is the last of the Grace of the capsules which SpaceX has made. There are 5 to be made. They have made 5.
And these are all reusable, right?
Yes. The Grace capsule is reusable, and it will be used for further flights as well. Initially, there was some concern that it's a maiden flight for Grace, but then Commander Peggy Whitson put everything at ease, saying they are comfortable with flying with a new vehicle. And now we've seen the new vehicle has performed excellently. Remember, it was the rocket which was creating problems when the flight was going up. but the Grace capsule has performed excellently, and we are seeing the Grace capsule slowly being brought close to motor vessel MB Shannon, and then it will be lifted up, and then the Grace capsule is brought closer inside to place where there is a stand from which, after the hatch is opened, the side hatch was closed on June 25th when the astronauts entered the capsule, and it will be opened now for the first time after the flight is over. And then we will see the 4 astronauts coming out one by one.
All right.
It is going to be a historic moment for us to witness.
All right, Pallab, just hold on for half a second. We're joined by Air Vice Marshal Deepak Gaur and also Dr. Apurva Jakhadi, space educator and advisor to the Yashwantrao Chavan Planetarium in Nashik. Dr. Jakhadi, this moment for you, what does it mean?
It's a remarkable moment for all of us. For me, particularly as an educator, I see Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. We just witnessed his safe return to Earth, and it means a lot for us, particularly for the young space professionals who are looking at Shubhanshu Shukla as a role model. And this Crew Dragon re-entry, the moment it entered the Earth's atmosphere, and from there to Splashdown, these moments were extremely exciting. And looking at the safety point of view, when we look at the safety of all these astronauts, this means a lot for all of us.
Okay. Air Marshal Gaur, could you tell us, some of the challenges that Group Captain Shukla might face, adjusting to gravity?
Yes, thank you, Vishnu, for sharing these wonderful videos of the splashdown and what we are seeing now. So when he's been exposed to zero gravity for these 17 or 18 days now, very soon this leads to what we call decompensation of the cardiovascular as well as the neurovestibular system. So when he comes back into 1G, and now as he slides down from this capsule and comes out, there will be a sense of imbalance and maybe a re-entry sickness. For this, they've already been on preventive medication before they undocked. They've been taking Phenergan or promethazine tablets or suppositories. They have been taking salt capsules to build up their blood volume so that all these troubles are minimized once they are back to Earth and in one gravity. Nevertheless, these internal ears or vestibular apparatus, we have these otolith organs which are dependent upon gravity. And now they've got disuse, so to say, in space, and it will take a while for them to adapt.
Pallab?
Air Vice Marshal Gaur, a very happy moment for you because you were part of the team which selected Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla as an astronaut designate for the Gaganyaan program. To see him back on Earth, you must be a very happy man, sir.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Pallab Bagla. I'm almost as excited as you. Thank you.
What was it about Shubhanshu Shukla that made you believe that he was best suited for a mission like this?
So yes, I had a detailed talk with our aviation psychologists and other doctors who were in the selection program for the final word as to who goes to this Axiom mission. And what I learn is that the ability to adapt from the military bearing to a more acceptable astronaut kind of traits were best in Shubhanshu. His ability to be at peace with himself, to be confident, and most importantly, to mix very well with the people, I thought played the greatest role in his being the number one for this selection.
All right, we're going to go back to live commentary for just a few moments now. Let's listen into what's happening. That is the Crew Dragon spacecraft. It's been hoisted up onto the MV Shannon, the mothership. And in a few moments from now, we expect Shubhanshu Shukla to emerge.
Dragon copies. Dragon SpaceX, capsule lift in progress, brace.
All right, Good verbal confirmations there and visual confirmations that we're getting a successful lift.
Dragon copy.
And again, those comms, crew can't see what's happening outside of the spacecraft, so letting the crew know what's happening so they understand, the vehicle moving, what those different feelings are with the spacecraft moving around.
Trying to give crew some level of situational awareness of where they are and where they're going next. So Dragon will remain in the nest during the crew extraction and for the journey back into port. The spacecraft is currently was just lifted, as you saw, and set on the nest. And from here, it'll be centered and oriented. And then from there, Dragon will be translated into the hangar underneath the helipad aboard the ship so that we can then open the hatch. And once open, a SpaceX medical doctor will be the first one in to check on the crew to see if they are ready to egress out of the vehicle. And as we noted earlier, Axiom medical teams are also on the recovery vessel working in tandem with SpaceX staff to assess and assist the crew.
The astronauts will egress, or what we call exit, from Dragon's side hatch, pending spacecraft orientation in the water. Before opening the hatch, the spacecraft's cabin pressure must be equalized with the outside environment. Now, once the hatch is opened, that will be the Axiom 4 crew's first breath of fresh air since boarding Falcon 9 at the start of their mission on June 25th.
And that will be an exciting moment for the crew, I know. But for the crew and also for the ground crews, getting that first confirmation of your crew exiting the spacecraft, getting good medical checks, and then coming out and giving a thumbs up is something everybody wants to be able to see, and we'll be able to see it soon.
Yeah. And it looks like the spacecraft is nestled into the nest.
Dragon, SpaceX, welcome aboard the recovery ship. Apology for the delayed call earlier. We're still working to transition the forward link. Recovery personnel are completing their final checks, and I will let you know when we are ready for translation across the deck to the egress platform.
Across to Richard Tibor, a senior journalist with the Orlando Sentinel, who joins us. Richard, thanks very much for being with us. So the Crew Dragon safely on board, the mothership as it were. What happens from here onwards?
Well, from splashdown to when they finally exit the vehicle, for the last few times has taken less than an hour. So what you will see is SpaceX medical personnel helping crew out of the capsule, and then they'll wave to the camera and perhaps give a thumbs up. They will stand on their own without the help and be shuttled off for a medical check on board the ship. Eventually, they will hop aboard a helicopter and be transported back to land. And then eventually, everyone will make their way to their homes, India, Hungary, Poland, and for Peggy staying in the United States.
Hour or so, this entire process from here onwards?
I'm sorry?
Is it about an hour or so from here onwards by the time they're cleared medically and they actually get out?
You're going to see people out of that probably in the next 25 minutes.
Right.
They will be completely one at a time. Usually the mission specialists on the sides will exit first and the pilot and commander exit second, but that has shifted up on occasion, depending if anybody had a rough ride coming down. But
and in your experience and having covered this, do astronauts sometimes have a rough ride?
The ones that are up there for a long period they don't have a rough ride on the splashdown. They just have a hard time dealing with Earth's gravity, having spent so long. But this, having been only about 20 days in space, 18 on the station, I don't expect they'll have much of a physical problem getting out of the capsule.
And Richard, this is a fantastic capsule itself. My colleague Pallav, who's with me in the studio, and I were just talking about how it was glistening white at the time of blast off, but now it looks pretty awful, but that's because it's worked. It's protected the crew inside, and it's fairly remarkable technology because despite the intense heat that it's been through in the re-entry process, it will be reused.
That's correct. They have certified these capsules to now fly for a fifth time. One of its sister capsules is slated to launch from Kennedy Space Center as early as July 31st, and that'll be a record 5th time. That is the first of the 5 capsules in the fleet making a record flight. And this one is going to have probably its next flight, perhaps before the end of the year, but certainly by next spring.
And that, Richard, is remarkable, isn't it? Because it's not just cost saving, it's not just saving a lot of funds because you have reusable craft, but just being in that situation which we as kids dreamt about, reusable spaceships. It is now a reality, and SpaceX has made that happen, and this is very much the future of what space exploration will be all about, because economically to have spaceships which are one-time use only, it was unfeasible.
Yeah, this is a great economic benefit for the company, but also useful to the nations who take advantage of it. And SpaceX isn't alone. If Boeing can get their act together and have a Starliner up and running, that would provide a feasible future, not just for visits to the International Space Station, which will continue through 2030, but potentially multiple private commercial space stations. And they're going to need as many capable spacecraft as possible to bring all of the astronauts from all the nations up to those stations.
All right, Richard, great speaking to you. Thanks so much for being with us and sharing your thoughts. For us over here in India, it is absolutely incredible to be watching this, to see just the second Indian astronaut in orbit be back on Earth, and it comes a couple of years before our own manned mission, the Gaganyaan mission, blasts off. But this is a great experience for one of the astronauts on the Gaganyaan program. Pallav, any thoughts?
Oh, certainly. This is the first firm footsteps for India's Gaganyaan mission. Now, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla has trained in Russia, in Europe, and then with NASA and with Axiom, flew on the Falcon 9 to the International Space Station, has come back safely to Earth. Now, really, the hard work for Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla will begin now. He has to come back. Like he told Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is acting like a sponge, taking in all what is required so that he can translate that knowledge to the Indian Space Research Organization and its scientists and engineers for India's own human space program. The big journey for India's human space program has begun with this first baby step on the Axiom 4 mission, or which I call sometimes mission Akash Ganga. Beyond this, India expects to have its own human space program to launch an Indian rocket from Indian soil to space by about 2027. And we already have 4 astronaut designates for that. And now we should say 1 astronaut and 3 astronaut designates, because Group Captain Shukla is now a full-fledged astronaut. And then Prime Minister Narendra Modi has already given a roadmap for the Indian Space Research Organization to have an Indian space station, or the Bharatiya Antariksh Station, by 2035, and then the ambitious task of landing an Indian on the moon by 2040. But in between, India has already signed the Artemis Accords along with America, so there could be more possibilities of Indians going to space as part of the NASA-ISRO initiative.
Right.
This is the first time where NASA and ISRO have participated very, very actively. Or what we can see now is the Crew Dragon being brought closer onto the place from where the astronauts will come out onto the stand. So we can see.
Let's just listen into the commentary for a second, Pallav.
Washing down the hatch area, again, just preparing for the vehicle's side hatch to be opened, getting some of that salt water off, maybe some of that plasma from reentry off.
Right, all nominal processes to ensure that that crew can safely egress the vehicle, but also that ground personnel are safely protected while handling the spacecraft and crew as well. So at this point, we can see SpaceX personnel positioning themselves to support in this, as well as the spacecraft making final approaches to that upper landing pad for crew to egress the vehicle.
All right, so just in a few minutes from now, perhaps
freshwater
a few moments,
washdown of the hatch
we should be
area.
able to see the hatch opening and a first glimpse of Shubhanshu Shukla ultimately. But the hatch opening, absolutely critical. Let's take a look.
For those with a keen eye as well, you could see on the side of Grace, as it was making its approach towards the upper landing, the Axiom logo proudly displayed on the spacecraft. We had some great shots during the docking footage of SpaceX, Axiom, making a beautiful image of the vehicle docked to the International Space Station. It's a little worn.
A little toasty.
A little toasty.
A little toasty.
All part of nominal ops, though.
3,500 degrees Fahrenheit will do that.
Dragon, SpaceX, standby for side hatch opening and egress of some smiling faces.
Here we go.
All right, we're looking forward to it.
They are just about to open that side hatch. And again, first person that'll greet the crew will be the medical officer.
The hatch is open, and ground crews are making first contact with the Axiom 4 crew.
And you see that square looking tool, that's just a protector for the hatch seal for while the crew egresses. This is a reusable vehicle, so we are protecting both the crew as well as the spacecraft, making sure there's no damage that happens and that the crew doesn't bump their head on anything on the spacecraft.
Again, once for the benefit of our viewers, Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth, the Crew Dragon spacecraft, now capsule safely on board the mothership. It was towed to the mothership. It's been mounted on the ship, and the crew are set to emerge anytime now. The side access door has been opened. A doctor has gone on board. I presume they'd be in the process of unstrapping the crew now, and then slowly with some assistance, because remember they've been in space, getting used to gravity takes some time, they will slowly start to emerge. Let's just listen in.
Moment, the first breath of fresh air for Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, who went into space on June 25th, and now today at 3:40 p.m. India time, he's had his first breath of fresh air back on Earth. The medical officer has come out of the hatch, and we should soon see a ramp being put on the Crew Dragon, and the first images, the first photographers are going inside to take the images of the...
Looks like we're getting, the crew's getting some first photos.
Yeah. It's a good sign that they had good initial comms with medical personnel So this time we are now just, if you're just joining us, we're waiting for the AX-4 crew to egress or exit the Dragon spacecraft, also known as Grace, as part of the conclusion of their more than 20-day mission to the International Space Station.
You can see the crew is handing some of their cargo. That looks like their tablets that they use throughout their mission.
Making it a little easier for crew to make their way out of the spacecraft as well.
We'll see the crew starting to come out. We've got a cameraman there blocking the shot, but he will move out as we see the crew coming out. And then there will be further medical examinations, and then they're going to be put onto a helicopter and then back to the United States.
Like they just removed the footrests.
Right-hand side,
Gives
the
the crew
family
some
are waiting
space
these
to
final
get out of
moments.
their seats
We saw
while they
Shubhanshu
are
Shukla. This is
exiting
from
the vehicle.
Shubhanshu Shukla's school in Lucknow. All right,
Now
the first
getting some
images from inside.
great
Let's take a
internal
look.
views of the AX-4 crew in their
Yes.
spacecraft.
I already saw some big smiles
Yep.
as we've all been saying.
As we wait for the AX-4 crew to egress the vehicle, you can see ground crew is still putting in aspects of I'm not going to call it rigging, but hardware to help the crew get out of the spacecraft more easily. Reminder that they've been in microgravity for a little over 20 days, and occasionally your first few steps back on Earth can be slightly challenging.
It's a little different in microgravity
Yeah.
than dealing with the gravity here on Earth.
Now that these are night vision cameras which are actually on, it's what, about 3 a.m. in the morning now?
Yes, it's close to 3 a.m.
It's close to 3 a.m. Off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. And so it's not daytime by any means. It's the middle of the night, but the SpaceX crew quite active at this stage as the crew members are unstrapped and get set to come out. It's a very slow process, a very comprehensive one. They have been medically examined. There'll be more medical examinations. They then get onto a helicopter and they fly stateside. So that's what the plan roughly is as we wait for them to emerge, which should take place as soon as they're completely unstrapped and with some assistance.
Just now joining us, we are waiting for the AX-4 crew to exit
Vishnu, we did
the
see
Dragon
image
spacecraft
of Group Captain
Grace.
Shukla, and he had a smile on his face. Before the after the medical
Peggy, Shix,
personnel came
Suave,
out, we saw a brief
and
image
Tibor
of Group Captain Shukla, and he had a smile on his
at
face,
the
which
end of
was
their
nice.
Axiom Mission 4. After 20 days in space, 18 on board the International Space Station. 18 days.
And now this wraps up a very significant portion of the mission, but it's not entirely over. We still have a few medical checks to go. And then in addition to that, the AX-4, all the research done on the AX-4 mission is all going to be in a world of post-processing, analysis, assessment, and that's all part of it, as well as crew debriefs. So, following after crew egresses the spacecraft and gets good medical checks, at that point we'll be getting the crew back home and then continuing the final, we'll call it terrestrial-based operations of the
That's
AX-4
right.
mission.
I guess it's more of the end of the space-facing portion of the mission.
Operational phase. We're still going to take our time to get there. You can see ground crews are still working with the crew members in hardware inside. They've established some ground support equipment to help in the aid of the AX-4 crew getting out of the spacecraft.
And some of their aids are not too complex. That white platform that you see there is essentially a slide.
Yeah. But an important one.
A very important slide.
But in addition to that slide, we do have, there's a complex tool that you mentioned earlier, Jesse, about protecting the seals. We can see now crew looking to make, the first crew members looking to make their egress from spacecraft along that slide.
Sliding out.
And there she is. We see Commander Peggy Whitson, all smiles, exiting the spacecraft Grace. That is a beautiful sight. Peggy Whitson, the AX-4 commander, is home, having logged 695 days in space on 5 flights. She is the 7th on the all-time list for most days in space by a human. It's an incredible feat.
Legendary.
All right, so Shubhanshu Shukla should be up
We've
next.
had Commander Peggy Whitson exit the Dragon spacecraft. We are waiting for the remaining 3 crew members of the AX-4 crew. There's no real order to the egress. It's really up to the crew. So we're patiently waiting to see who's up next.
Right. If Peggy is in the indication, which I think she is for this particular crew, we'll see another big smile coming out of the Dragon spacecraft in a moment.
There he is, Shubhanshu
And we've got
Shukla.
our pilot, Shubhanshu Shukla, as our second crew member exiting the spacecraft. And some big smiles, as you said. India reached a major milestone for the nation's space exploration goals. AX-4 pilot Shubhanshu Shukla became the first astronaut to fly from the country's newly established astronaut corps. His participation marks a vital step forward for ISRO's Gaganyaan program, which aims to send Indian astronauts into space aboard domestically developed spacecraft. Shukla's flight demonstrates India's readiness to execute international missions and reflects the country's broader ambitions to become a key player in the global space community. As India continues to expand its capabilities in crewed spaceflight, this mission serves as both a proving ground and a symbol of its commitment to innovation, collaboration, and leadership in space exploration.
हाँ सावन का महीना है भोलेनाथ जी की कृपा है अरे नहीं तो अच्छा लग रहा है बेटा जो है बेटा वापस चला आया तो ये भावुक पल है भाई उसका जो है बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है अब इस समय जो है हम लोग बच्चे को देखकर बहुत खुश हैं।
कैसी रही सर? 18 दिन रहे वहाँ पर।
अच्छी रही यात्रा, अच्छी रही जैसा कि हाँ बात होती थी और
लगता था आपको कि अंतरिक्ष से बात हो रही है?
अब मंत्री से बात कर लेता था, थोड़ा हल्का लगता था।
यही पल तो था जिसके लिए जी रहे थे।
नहीं बिल्कुल, उसका मिशन पूरा हुआ। ईश्वर को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और सभी देशवासियों का आभार प्रकट करता हूं।
से मिलने के लिए
नहीं बिल्कुल, बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत
मिलना कब होगा?
अब मिलना काफी इंतजार है आपको। 15 दिन लग जाएंगे।
तो काफी उनका इंतजार है, किस तरीके से स्वागत की तैयारी है?
नहीं बहुत भव्य स्वागत करेंगे हम लोग, जो है बिल्कुल एंजॉय करेंगे, पार्टी करेंगे, पूरा बैंड बाजे के साथ स्वागत करेंगे, जो कुछ होगा बहुत अच्छे तरह स्वागत करेंगे।
शुभांशु की सकुशल वापसी हो गई, क्या कहेंगे?
हम लोग के लिए बहुत गर्व का पल है।
There is Slawosz Uznanski-Wisniewski of Poland.
बस अब मिलने की मुलाकात है, अभी तक जो है आने की वो थी, अब मिलने की अपेक्षा है। बस जितनी जल्दी मिलेंगे उतनी जल्दी मिलेंगे हमसे।
जब वो आ रहे थे, लैंड हो रहे थे, उस टाइम में काफी प्रार्थना कर रहे थे मन ही मन में, क्या कुछ?
नहीं तो अब ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करते हैं कि वही सब कुछ ले आवे, यही हमारे लिए। ये देखो
आराम से शुभांशु के पिताजी हमारे साथ है सर, जिस तरीके से हाथों में
Being on long-duration missions, but also for enabling safe and sustainable exploration beyond low Earth orbit. The Ignis mission reflects Poland's strategic investment in cutting-edge science and its ambition to contribute meaningfully to the future of deep space travel. It also signals a broader shift in Europe's space landscape, where emerging space nations are taking on increasingly vital roles in shaping the next era of exploration. And based on that smile, I'd say Slav felt like he had a very successful mission.
Three or four crew members have exited the Dragon spacecraft. We're now just waiting for the final crew member, Tibor, to exit the spacecraft here. And last but not least, mission specialist Tibor Kapu. Hungary marked a significant milestone in its space ambitions with the AX4 mission as astronaut Tibor Kapu became the first Hungarian to reach the International Space Station, and all smiles from him there. His participation under the banner of the Hunor Hungarian to Orbit program represents Hungary's commitment to advancing its role in international space exploration. This mission signifies the country's return to human spaceflight after decades and highlights its strategic investment in science, technology, and innovation.
And Jesse, it was wonderful seeing Tibor's smiles and waves and high fives. You knew how important this mission was to the crew as they were prepping for it and throughout the mission, and seeing them be able to egress with the same smiles that they went into the capsule with, or into the spacecraft with. Well, at this point, the crew is now safely back home on Earth.
Yeah. Now that
All right, all 4 crew members have emerged from that capsule and they are now back on Earth. That marks the end of and a very successful end of the entire space mission. Those are first visuals of Shubhanshu Shukla or Shuks back on Earth. He's made a splash, all crew members out of the Dragon capsule. Now the next phase will be about the lessons, the learnings from their mission, the 18-day mission at the International Space Station, where they conducted those 60-odd experiments. But viewers tuning in right now to NDTV, on your screens right now are the latest visuals coming in of Shubhanshu Shukla, India's space hero, back on Earth after concluding a very successful space mission. 18 days is the time that he and 3 of his other international co-members of the mission spent on the International Space Station. And now from orbit to ocean, safe return of Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 others as far as this mission is concerned. And rightfully, NDTV here is saying welcome back to Shubhanshu Shukla, a man who's set to now steer India towards next phase of its space mission, space program. A lot in the pipeline, likely to get a fresh fillip with Shubhanshu Shukla's journey into the International Space Station that has just concluded. And on your screens are those live visuals of all 4 members returning safely to Earth. This was a very carefully planned, minute and detailed mission, last end of it, which was the return to Earth, and that has happened with complete perfection and completely on time. And Axiom was a riveting re-entry and return is a big story on NDTV that we are getting for you viewers. The re-entry mode that we have been telling our viewers for the last 2 hours is a very intricate process and extremely challenging as well, and all went to near perfection that happened, and which is what we've been talking about. Now what happens next? The next 7 odd days is when the astronauts, all 4 of them, will be under some rehabilitation process, coming back to the conditions on Earth. That's again a very detailed process. Remember, they were all in space for 18 days. Now they will be brought back into the conditions for Earth, which will require a certain rehabilitation, and that is about a 7 to 8 day process, again minutely executed and detailed for all astronauts to be able to physically come back in terms of aligning to the Earth's conditions. So that's the next phase of it. On your screens, on the left hand side are the visuals from the Splashdown, and then of course the all crew members coming out of the Dragon capsule. And on the other hand is the visuals coming in from Lucknow, where Shubhanshu Shukla's family, parents, sister, wife, all of them celebrating the successful return of Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. So those are live visuals on both ends that you are seeing, viewers. If you're tuning in right now, this is the big story that we have been getting you for the last over a fortnight. Shubhanshu Shukla scripting space history. He became the first Indian since Rakesh Sharma in the last 41 years to go to space. He was the first Indian to go to the International Space Station. One along with a total of 4 crew members went. He, along with 3 other international astronauts, led by American Commander Peggy Whitson, and now they've all safely returned, spending 18 days, 3 days extra due to the weather conditions that delayed their return journey. And during this time, Shubhanshu Shukla conducted key experiments, and that is going to be critical for India's space journey from here on. And that's the big story, India's big cosmic leap as Shubhanshu Shukla returns back on Earth. All right, viewers, let's quickly play out this conversation that NDTV had with Shubhanshu Shukla's parents who are celebrating there after that near perfect touchdown, that splashdown. Listen in.
बेटे का नाम तो इतिहास में दर्ज हो गया। राकेश शर्मा जी को हम लोग किताबों में पढ़ते थे, हमारे बाद की पीढ़ियां शुभांशु को किताबों में पढ़ेंगी। ये एक कितना बड़ा, कितना भावुक पल है आपके?
ये बहुत भावुक कर देने वाला पल है। बहुत बड़ा दिन है हमारे लिए। हमारे बच्चे की वजह से इतना गर्व का पल हमको महसूस हो रहा है कि उसको हम शब्दों में नहीं बयान कर सकते। बहुत ज़्यादा गौरव का पल है हमारे लिए, बहुत ज़्यादा।
जब यहाँ से टेक ऑफ हो रहा था, जब डॉकिंग हो रही थी, तब भी हमने आपसे बात की थी, आपने कहा डर नहीं लग रहा है, लेकिन जब डॉकिंग का टाइम था तब आप पूरा परिवार बहुत
All right, we could connect and get Sanjay Lakshmi Narayanan, who's a researcher and development engineer, to talk more about what this means, the significance of this milestone that Shubhanshu Shukla has achieved, that India has achieved. And Mr. Narayan, let me then bring you in on the importance of this milestone. The splashdown is complete. All 4 astronauts have now stepped out of the Dragon capsule. Everything has gone picture perfect in terms of its execution. Your thoughts on the milestone that India and Indian space has achieved today?
It's actually very significant given the fact that he was there for 18 days. He collaborated to conduct experiments, like 60 experiments, and he was able to speak to a lot of audience, a wide audience, not only just the Prime Minister, but also interact with the students, the bright young minds who will one day become aerospace engineers and want to go to space. So all of this is an exceptional achievement for me, and it's incredible.
It is an extremely important milestone, something that really sets the trajectory for India's space program from here on. And it's also important to tell our viewers the next immediate steps for Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 of his other co-astronauts, because as I said, there's a certain rehabilitation program that has to take place. And I'm going to get in Pallava Bagla to talk more on that and detail for our viewers the next steps from here on. But before that, Mr. Narayanan, now the immediate steps from here in terms of the lessons and learnings that those experiments that Shubhanshu Shukla carried out for India from here on, how significant would they be from here on?
So I think the first thing is that they will probably go and get used to gravity on Earth. I think they already had some sort of exercise routine on board the space station, which every astronaut does, so that when they return back to Earth, they're easily, back to normal life. But otherwise, the experiments, especially the ones I've been following, is the one that he conducted on diabetes, insulin properties, and stem cell research that was conducted during this mission. So that's going to be very interesting, because in future, today you need to be physically fit. You have to undergo some training to go to space. Tomorrow, if a diabetic patient wants to go to space, for instance, the research is going to give us the findings, whether it is going to be possible, or how insulin is going to work in space.
Yes.
And then stem cells, it's been a promising research in medical science for treating various patients and regrowing organs, and so it's also going to be exceptional. And the cancer research that they've also done.
And we're going to take that in detail.
For long stays.
Sajay, we're going to take that step by step. And I'm going to get in Pallava as well. But let's first get in Ranveer also, who's joining us live from that exact spot, viewers, where you're getting these live visuals from, where the family is celebrating along with 1 billion Indians. Ranveer, you've been speaking to the family. They have reason to be jubilant and also grateful for this day, for this momentous occasion.
Obviously, I saw a mixture of excitement as well as fear and happiness. At the same time, when the family was sitting here, they were continuously seeing on that screen, which is here, and I'm seeing the family is interacting with the media. So a mixture of fear and excitement and happiness when the landing was done. And now, obviously, the family is very much happy. They are going to celebrate it the evening. The father said that he was in temple praying to God for a safe recovery, for a safe landing. Mother was also feared about the landing, but after the landing, she shown confidence, and she is now excited for another journey in 2027 when Shubhanshu is expected to visit in the space during Gaganyaan mission. So the family is now obviously they are relaxed because Shubhanshu has made a history. He is the first one from India who has reached the International Space Station, and obviously from a very normal family, Shubhanshu has done an exceptional job. So the family is very much excited, very much happy, and they are now keen to meet Shubhanshu, but they have to wait for some another days, probably a month or more, because Shubhanshu will be in isolation for next 7 or 8 days, and after that due to some technical reasons they are not able to meet Shubhanshu, but obviously they are very keen, they are excited to meet him, to hug him. And when I was talking to his sister Shuchi, she said that obviously that moment when the capsule was reaching land, she was feared, but the emotion was not explainable. But obviously the family is now very much relaxed and now waiting for the moment when Shubhanshu will reach home, and they will celebrate that moment also.
Ranveer, stay with me because I want to rope in Pallava here in terms of the next steps, and then I come back to you, Ranveer, which is, Pallava, talk to us about the next steps from here on. They now, of course, have to be acclimatized with gravity being one. What is the next steps from here on for the astronauts for the next 2 to 3 weeks as they acclimatize to Earth?
Well, a very happy moment for India. India's second astronaut is back on Earth, still floating in the Pacific Ocean. He will now be taken from the ship to land somewhere in San Diego, and from there onward to Houston, where there would be a detailed debriefing and a detailed medical examination. Group Captain Shukla looked happy. He waved, he walked out. So he seems to have braced both microgravity and gravity like a test fighter pilot who's a test pilot would. So Group Captain Shukla has created history, and India's Science Minister Dr. Jiten Singh had given a small little briefing, and it seems that Group Captain Shukla will probably come to Earth or come to India around Independence Day. So we will see major celebrations around that time when Group Captain Shukla comes back to India after his first sojourn in space, and then getting debriefed at the Axiom facilities, both by NASA officials and by Axiom and ISRO, and then he will be back home. Right now, he must be adjusting to the microgravity conditions on Earth. He's still on the ship probably. We don't have any more live visual coverage after he came out of the Crew Dragon, and then he will get on with his life. But for him and for India, life is going to become more difficult here onwards. This was the first baby step for India's Gaganyaan program. It was a ride which was on a hired rocket, a hired Crew Dragon, well tested, but India's Gaganyaan, which is highly ambitious, will need a lot of what he has learnt, and all have to be translated to ISRO.
Stay with us. Okay, I believe Ranveer, but before I get in Ranveer, let's go back to Sanjay Lakshminarayan. Mr. Lakshminarayan, respond to what Pallava just said, that these are important steps, but they are still baby steps in terms of the kind of ambition that India has for its space program. Your thoughts?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I mean, because now Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is the only person who knows how to fly a capsule. He's been to the space station. He knows how to dock, how the orbit is incrementally increased from the Earth's surface to the space station. And also, we are planning on our own space station, Bharatiya Antariksh Station. So building that and whole Bharatiya Antariksh Station cannot be launched at once. So it has to be assembled in space. And the experience that now he has got has to be transferred to a lot of other people who has to be trained with the same skill set, and then that needs to be further extended, to the challenges that they encounter further. So that is going to be incredibly most important thing. That is Shubhanshu Shukla training maybe another 10 or 15 astronauts, with the same skill sets that he has acquired in the last 20-25 days.
Yes. Palwa sir, you mentioned about the fact that this is early steps and early days in terms of what lies ahead. But as someone who tracks this, who tracks space probably the best in India and maybe globally, explain to us that from here on, the key milestones till Gaganyaan, that is next step for us. Decode that for us, because that's essentially the big ambition, isn't it?
Well, I just love what I do, and translating it to our audience is something which I love to do, both in English and Hindi. India has a very ambitious human space program. From now till 2027, when we are likely to send our first Indian to space from Sriharikota, the rocket, which is the launch vehicle Mark III, has already been human rated, meaning it is ready to take humans to space. It's the crew capsule which is taking much longer. The environment life control system is being developed by India on its own. Initially, we tried to buy it from outside. It was just too expensive, so we are developing that. There are hundreds of tests that need to be completed, of which there are 24 major tests that need to be completed before we can send an Indian to space from Sriharikota. But before we have that, there will be 2 uncrewed missions, meaning without humans, where we would send a robot, and we have a name for the robot, and the robot will be decked as a female, so she is a female robot, as Science Minister continues to say. Her name is Vyomitra. So this would be 2 uncrewed missions, and then we'll have a crewed mission going to space from India, which will carry 1 or 2 Indian astronauts for up to 3 days in space, or it could be 1 day. We still don't have a firm idea, but it could be 1 or 2. And there are 3 astronaut designates, and 1 astronaut we already have. 1 of them or 2 of them will fly. And then there is a very ambitious program to have the first Indian space station. We already have a small space lab which we fly off and on as part of the PSLV 4th stage, where scientists are able to do some experiments in microgravity, but to have a full-fledged Indian space station called Bharatiya Antariksh Station. First modules of that would fly in about 2028.
Okay.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has told ISRO, we can see the mother literally crying.
Absolutely, emotional.
These are tears of joy, I'm sure. She was very, very emotional. So this is, we can see the family going through a lot of emotions.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. And in fact, we have Dr. Srimati Kesan as well. Dr. Kesan, I'm going to come to you in a bit, but I want to play out this important conversation that my colleague Shreya had with Dr. Jitendra Singh in terms of the momentous occasion today it is. Let's listen into that conversation that we get in Dr. Srimati Kesan after that.
So Shubhanshu Shukla will be back on the 17th of August in New Delhi. So what do you think about the next giant space mission from India? And when will we get the outcome of all the experiments, the 60+ experiments that were explored?
No, I think the experiments are all, of course, they have just come back. But what is more important is all these experiments were indigenously designed, indigenously developed. Even the kits, the material, the literature, which was researched in order to create those kits was also done. And I'm glad that some of the institutions associated with this ministry, like for the Department of Biotechnology, and also thereafter IIT, the Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore. So this was whole of science and whole of nation. And yeah, absolutely. So on the one hand, there were life sciences, like study of muscles, which is called myogenesis. On the other hand, study of the human impact vis-a-vis constant or continuous use of electronic gadgets like watching electronic screens, etc. On the other hand, growing plants, seedlings in that microgravity milieu, even the crop seedlings, also testing the endurance of the living beings there in the extreme conditions. And these experiments are going to produce differences which are going to be of utility for the entire mankind. And that's why I have the confidence to say that when Prime Minister Modi envisages the concept of Vishwabandhu and calls upon us to prepare ourselves for that kind of role, today Shubhanshu has shown us the direction of moving in that way.
Absolutely, India is unstoppable. So what is the next step in India's space research?
No, see, the experiments done today, both technically, docking, undocking, stepping in, is going to add to our cumulative experience as far as our Gaganyaan is concerned, which is possibly going to happen in the first quarter of 2027. But more importantly, for the Bharat Service Station, Bharat International Space Station, which we envisage for 2030, because they're here. And before that, by around 2028, we are going to have Chandrayaan 4, which has series of docking and docks. There were 5 components going there, separating, uniting, while coming where there will be one left, just 20%. So this will give us a huge amount of confidence for the ultimate mission. And of course, an Indian on the surface of moon, maybe hopefully by 2040.
All right, that was Dr. Jitendra Singh explaining what lies ahead in terms of India's space roadmap. Dr. Srimati, let me rope you in. She's founder and CEO of Space Kids India. Your first thoughts on the successful completion of the mission and the significance of this milestone?
They have to say, you know, we have to have all the dance party here now. Well, apart from that now, this is such an incredible moment, I have to tell you, because every time, you know, now I'm seated here in Scotland, and until yesterday I had a couple of meetings in London. People were taken over. They were gaga. They thought, still we are the snake charmer's land. Still we don't know whether there was internet available in India. So many things people still perceive about India. And this is going to be such a historic thing that is going to be hitting the entire world, I have to tell you. And this is very, very important here. What I wanted to, let you know that this is not only a success of going to the international station and coming back. I look at it at in a massive macro scale, because we Indians are extremely a friendly and absolutely cultural friendly nation, where we invite a lot of smaller countries to be a part of our missions. And I think if our Gaganyaan mission is a success, you know, continuously people would love to go from Indian soil as vis-a-vis to the other, you know, countries, because they not only love coming to India, but if India is able to take them to the space, then what else can they ask for? Okay. So I think this is a huge step.
Dr. Srimati.
Yes, Palwaji.
I am also equally excited like you are to have Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. Like you are excited, I am equally excited. But you flew in microgravity conditions. What do you think Shubhanshu Shukla must be facing on microgravity when he has come back into gravity after 18 days at the International Space Station? You experienced it in that parabolic flight.
Yes, you know, just for a day, and it was for a couple of hours. Thank you so much for reminding that always, Pallavaji, because that is such a close to my heart event, I have to tell you. So when I got back, it was a little difficult, because even the breathing, it was fraction, you know, it was only, I could feel about 1.5 to 2 G. That itself was too much. And, you know, coming to gravity, I mean, to stand straight took a few minutes. I think for 18 days he spent in the International Space Station, floating all through. I'm sure he's going to take a while to start feeling gravity and start walking. But, you know, for the amount of training that he's undergone, the mental strength that he has, I'm sure this fighter is going to be all smiles, carrying those, inspiring the younger generation, I have to tell you.
Dr. Srimati, you work with school children and some of the most government school children. Do you think Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is going to become a role model, and will we see young Shubhanshu Shuklas emerging from the schools where you train them about space?
Absolutely, Pallavaji, you just nailed it, and it's the right question that you had mentioned here. From the Azadi Sat, where 750 rural girl children had built that satellite for the 75th Indian independence. Today, we have at least about 10 of them, girls, weeing to be fighter pilots from those villages. They didn't even know the spelling or meaning of space and spacecrafts. Today they stand tall to say that we want to be fighter pilots.
Indeed.
So, yeah,
and I think that's the single biggest contribution of Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. Okay,
he's going to be an icon.
Yes, indeed. I'm afraid I'll have to leave it there, Dr. Srimati and Pallava sir. Thank you so much for speaking to me and decoding as we continue NDTV's special broadcast, decoding every aspect of the significance of today. Viewers, a quick break. We return with some of the other stories. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
India's space hero Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. India's giant leap in space as history has been made. Boy is back home from space.
For a decade now, India has been on a mission to...
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system, it is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan does have low observable aircraft, which would be the J-35, in fact, the first ones might even start entering service or coming into the PAF ahead of entering service at some time this year, then India is in trouble.
So
Why?
this year? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first could actually start coming in this year. They're really pushing for it. And they've gotten apparently into some agreement with the Chinese to ensure that the funding is done on very loose and terms favorable to Pakistan, as has been in the case in the past. If Pakistan starts acquiring low platforms which are low observable, in other words, stealth platforms, then that's an additional headache for the Indian Air Force, because tracking stealth aircraft requires a certain specialization. It's much more difficult. the time that you have to actually engage a potential stealth target is reduced greatly. And therefore, it's a problem.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
कहना इस दीवार पे इतने इश्तहार चिपके हैं कि कोई दरार नजर नहीं आती। मैं उन लोगों में से जो कहता हूँ सारे इश्तहार फाड़ के फेंको, पहले दरार को एड्रेस करो।
ये दरार इसलिए क्योंकि कुछ लेफ्ट कुछ राइट पर हम उन मुद्दों में आप
Viewers, turning attention now to a shocker of a story coming to light from Bengaluru, where two college lecturers have been arrested by the police for allegedly raping a female student on multiple occasions and even blackmailing her. The accused have been identified as Narendra, a physics lecturer, and Sandeep, who's a biology lecturer, and their friend Anup. All three were working at a private college where the survivor was a student. Now, as per police complaint, Narendra first approached the student under the pretext of sharing academic notes and gradually built a friendship through constant messaging. Now, this sequence then led to exploitation of the girl. Now, what the entire case is all about, which is looking eerily similar to the shocker that came to light from Odisha. Let's get in my colleague Deepak Bopanna to know more about this. Deepak, it's looking eerily similar to that story that has come to light from Odisha. Why is it that young girls are praised when it comes to these sexual predators on campus?
Yes, and the police right now managing to swiftly crack this case, arrest all the three who are involved there. They've been sent to judicial custody. Meanwhile, the State Women's Commission also was apprised of the situation, who've also asked the police, of course, to look at all angles here. Like you mentioned, the girl was exploited not by one lecturer, then by another because of blackmail and through other forms of coercion. There's another individual who is a friend of these two lecturers who is also said to have harassed her and exploited her. The police, of course, at this point in time say that the investigation on all aspects is going on, not just in this particular case, but to also ascertain if these perpetrators were involved in similar crimes with other students from that particular campus or any other college.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Deepak Bopanna, my colleague, reporting on that story from Bengaluru. And the case looks eerily similar to the one in Odisha, and there's politics that's going on as far as the Odisha campus horror is concerned, where Rahul Gandhi has hit out at the BJP, saying murder by BJP's system. That is what Rahul Gandhi has said. He said that the BJP is shielding the accused. He's gone on to say it's not suicide, but organized murder by the system. Rahul Gandhi is saying and making charges against the BJP, which has responded by saying this is politics being played over a very sensitive manner. And BJP has said this is not the time for politics, but to ensure justice takes place. Now, all this is happening on social media platform X, where Rahul Gandhi has come out with these charges. Let's get in my colleague Shreyasi Dey, who's reporting on this story for us. Now, Shreyasi, there's politics that is taking us over as far as this case is concerned. even as that focus on whether or not that young victim is going to get justice seems to have been completely sidestepped.
Well, there is a political firestorm in Odisha over this tragic incident. It's not even been asked that we have lost the victim. She was battling not just for justice, but also for her life. With over 90% burn injuries, she succumbed to her injuries this morning. Her mortal remains were brought to her home. The Odisha government has announced 20 lakh ex gratia to the family as aid, but her life could not be saved. And of course, there has been a systematic failure where the administration failed to pay heed to the complaints that she was making, and the complaints were against the HOD of the Education Department, who was seeking sexual favors in turn and threatening this student of dire consequences academically if she did not give in to those requests. And that complaint was raised to the principal earlier in June, but there was nothing done about it, and now we have lost that victim. She has passed away, but the political storm continues in Odisha while the family still awaits justice, the principal and the HOD behind bars. But the crime branch of the Odisha police continues its investigation to understand whether this is a standalone complaint, whether there were such instances also reported earlier. The internal committee that was set up by the college has also been quizzed by the panel that has been formed by the Odisha government. So the BJP really looking at deflecting all the heat upon it over this particular issue and the larger question of safety and security of women. And on the 17th of July, all the opposition parties have called for a bandh in Odisha to lodge their protest and intensify it against the BJP government. Back to you.
All right, Shreyasi, they're reporting on that shocker of a story from Odisha, and as she was pointing out, hours after her death, politics has now taken center stage over that horrific case. Turning attention from Odisha to Pune, where 14 months since the accident took place, justice is awaited by the families of the victims. 2 techies were killed in that accident. In the case, to remember, multiple arrests were made, including the juvenile's father. We are talking about the Pune Porsche case, where the father was a very influential developer and real estate, and the boy's mother was later arrested, but she was out on bail. She was arrested because she had swapped her blood sample with that of her juvenile son, who was caught drunk driving, and then those 2 techies lost their lives because of that. 14 months later, there is no headway in terms of are we closer to getting justice or not. My colleague Shiv Arora has spoken to the victim's father on the fact that the 17-year-old, who's not a 17-year-old, but the Juvenile Justice Board is not allowing him to be treated and to be convicted as an adult. No headway in the case so far. Trial is yet to begin. Let's get in that conversation that Shiv Arora had with the victims' fathers.
सुरेश जी, आपसे मैं शुरू करूंगा। आपको पता है कि जो न्यूज़ है आज वो ये है कि जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड ने खारिज कर दिया है वो याचिका कि वो जो गाड़ी चला रहा था उसको एक अडल्ट के रूप से उसको ट्राई किया जाए, लेकिन वो नहीं होगा। अब आपके मन में अभी क्या है सुरेश जी?
अब मेरे मन में सबसे पहले यही प्रश्न उठ रहा है कि मतलब जैसे शुरुआत में ही जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड की कार्य प्रणाली पर उंगलियां मैंने अकेले नहीं, पूरी देश ने, पूरी दुनिया में उठाई थी कि जो बालक ड्रिंक कर रहा है, फास्ट गाड़ी चला रहा है, उसको माइनर कैसे माना जा सकता है। और
21
जो इतने एक साल से भी ज़्यादा हो चुका है, अभी तक तो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के जो मेंबर थे उनकी जगह पर तो कोई आया नहीं था। जो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के जो 2 मेंबर को सरकार ने बर्खास्त किया था, उनकी जगह पर कोई नियुक्ति तो हुई नहीं थी। तो फिर 1 महीने के अंदर नियुक्ति भी हो गई, उसका असिस्टमेंट भी हो गया और उसकी कार्यप्रणाली का एनालिसिस भी हो गया कि उसको एडल्ट ट्रीट करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए, ये सब कुछ हो गया और 1 महीने के अंदर सारा डिसीजन हो गया। तो इनकी कार्यप्रणाली पर शंका तो फिर से उठेगी। तो मेरे हिसाब से तो एडल्ट ट्रीट करना ही नहीं चाहिए था, और उसके कार्यप्रणाली को देख के ही जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड को कोई डिसीजन देना था।
ओम प्रकाश जी, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे आज जुवेनाइल जस्टिस बोर्ड के ये जो निर्णय से, आप क्या कहेंगे?
आपके द्वारा ही हमें पता चला है, अभी न्यूज जो आई है आपके द्वारा ही पता चला। इसमें तो हमें शुरू से ही ऐसी लग रहा है, जिस तरह से ढिलमुल रवैया रहा है जे बोर्ड का, उससे ही समझ आ रहा था कि इनके तरफ से तो यही मिलेगा। इनके तरफ से उम्मीद नहीं थी सर हमें। बाकी केंद्र गवर्नमेंट में इसमें नियम कानून में बदलाव करना चाहिए, ताकि ये लोग जो किए हैं उसमें ये सब ना होता। बालिग का केस चलाने के लिए इनको निर्णय देना चाहिए था, लेकिन हो गया, आप कुछ कह नहीं सकते इसके लिए। अब क्या बोल सकते हैं सर?
क्या आपको लगता है ओम प्रकाश जी, क्या आपको लगता है कि अभी भी पैसों का खेल चल रहा है पुणे में? क्या आपको लगता है कि अभी भी जिन लोगों के पास शक्ति है इस केस को इन्फ्लुएंस करने के लिए, उनको पैसे खिलाया जा रहा है? क्या आपको लगता है ये सच है?
देखिए, हम सामने रह के हम देख नहीं रहे पैसे खिलाए जा रहे हैं नहीं, लेकिन दबाव पूरा बराबर है। सब तरह समझ में आ रहा है कि हम लोग तो उससे पुणे से काफी दूरी पे हैं। हम लोग को पता चल रहा है कि कहीं ना कहीं लोग खेल रहे होंगे, क्योंकि अभी न्यूज पे भी आया था कि कहीं दूसरे जगह ब्लड सैंपलिंग के बदलने के लिए दूसरे हॉस्पिटल में भी काफी दबाव दिया, काफी पैसे खिलाने के चक्कर में थे, लेकिन डॉक्टरों की वजह से नहीं कर पाए। तो समझ में तो आता है सर, हम दूर हैं और इनका पैसों का खेल, ये तो सभी लोग जान रहे हैं कि पैसे खेल कितना चला है उधर पे। ऐसा ना होता सर, ये इतने बड़े आदमी, पूंजीपति आदमी है भाई, 3 करोड़ की गाड़ी लेकर बच्चा घूम रहा है, लाख रुपए वॉलेट में डलवा के चल रहा है। अब आप समझ सकते हैं 80-80 हजार रुपये शराब पार्टी कर रहा है, तो ये बताइए बालिग नहीं कहलाया तो नाबालिग? अब नाबालिग दे रही है तब न्यायपालिका है सर। अब न्यायपालिका कर रही है, हमारे साथ न्याय नहीं हो रहा है। हमें पता है कि हम लोग के साथ तो किसी तरह से न्याय नहीं हो रहा। हमारे बच्चे चले गए, लेकिन हम लोग के साथ कहीं पे न्याय नहीं हो रहा। हमारे बच्चों को न्याय कैसे मिलेगा बताइए? ये पैसों वाली पार्टी है, कुछ भी कर सकती है, बता सकते हैं आप।
सुरेश जी, अभी 1-2 हफ्ते पहले ये भी पता चल गया है कि ना सिर्फ सासुन हॉस्पिटल में ये खेल चल रहा था, लेकिन एक दूसरे हॉस्पिटल में भी ये खेल चल रहा था कि ब्लड सैंपल स्विच हो जाए, उस नाबालिग सो कॉल्ड नाबालिग को
ऐसा पता चला, ऐसा पता चला,
ये भी सामने आया है। आपको पता है ये सब?
हाँ, ये कहीं से न्यूज मिली थी कि खेल तो चला है, मगर उनने उस हॉस्पिटल ने मना कर दिया था कि यहाँ पे ये सब नहीं हो पाएगा। तो फिर वो ससुर हॉस्पिटल लेके कर गए हैं, क्योंकि ससुर हॉस्पिटल में उनका शायद जैक रहा होगा पहले से।
सुरेश जी,
इसीलिए सैंपल वगैरह जो है ना
14 महीने में अग्रवाल परिवार से कोई भी आपको संपर्क करने के लिए ट्राई किया है? किसी ने आपको कांटेक्ट किया है, ट्राई किया है कॉन्वर्सेशन के लिए, या कुछ भी नहीं?
नहीं, हाँ, ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ है।
तो ये साल कैसे बीते हैं आपने? 14 महीने हो गए सर। ये केस तो चल रहा है स्टेट के साइड से, आपके लिए कैसा रहा है?
कैसे बीते सर, कैसे बीते वो तो मैं आपको बता नहीं सकता। यदि यहाँ पे कोई सीसीटीवी कैमरा वगैरह मेरे घर में होता तो मैं आपको पूरे रिकॉर्डिंग 14 महीने की रिकॉर्डिंग दिखा देता कि मैं एक पल कैसे मर के जी रहा हूँ।
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
India's space hero Shubhanshu Shukla back on Earth. India's giant leap in space as history has been made. Our boy is back home from space. Big relief for Kerala nurse Nimisha Priya, whose execution has been postponed. In the Pune Porsche case, accused to be tried as a juvenile, setback for the prosecution. In the Odisha horror case, student who self-immolates dies, no justice after harassment. The student is now dead. Rahul Gandhi says this is murder by BJP's system, as Dharmendra Pradhan responds saying cheap politics by Rahul Gandhi. Bihar law and order challenge, bank manager's body found in Patna. Nitish government under pressure ahead of elections.
कोई जरूरत तो उसको इंटरव्यू देने की।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
किसने हक दिया आपको हाथ उठाने का?
अगर फिर से कोई ऐसी गलती करेगा तो मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं।
सर आप लाइव हैं एनडीटीवी पर।
मैं सही बात कर रहा हूँ तो
आपकी जो आवाज है,
आप मेरी आवाज ब्रेक मत कीजिए, मेरा पूरा
सबने देखा है, सबने सुना है।
मैं तुम्हारी बात नहीं करूंगा। ये क्या पद्धति है? ये बात करते हैं तो मैं नहीं करूंगा बात इनसे।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
He wants to throw punches, he wants to throw slaps, but he can't take normal questions.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Now, viewers, Tesla's long-awaited India debut has begun with a showroom launch today in Mumbai after years of negotiations, tariff hurdles, and several delays. Now, Tesla is making a bold move into India with its first ever experience center that's opened in Mumbai's Bandra complex. The store will showcase its popular Model Y with about 60 lakhs being the range. There are, of course, various variants that customers can choose from. It's largely the luxury EV market in India. And after the grand opening in Mumbai, the showroom will open in New Delhi very soon. And it's now important to talk about Musk's India plans, his India foray, and also the Musk-Modi dosti, so to say. What it means and how India plans of Elon Musk are likely to now shape up from here on. Let's put that out for you to understand in terms of today marks a key point, but the first of the many steps for Musk's India foray. First and foremost, there is an expectation that Elon Musk is likely to visit India sometime later this year. He met Prime Minister Modi early on in Washington, D.C., and it was expected that he will come to India and launch some of those big forays into India, and that's likely to happen possibly towards the later half of the year. Next, there is an expectation that whether it's incentives, whether it's tariff cuts, negotiations will happen probably at that level. Prime Minister Modi and Elon Musk have exchanged, as I said, discussions on potential incentives that can be given for electric vehicles. There's already an EV policy that India has, and now it comes down to what is that fine balance that both sides can have to be able to address their own strategic interests. Next that's likely to happen is Tesla showrooms are likely to open across India. India is a huge market. Only 2 showrooms are unlikely to cater to the luxury EV segment. Right now, Mumbai itself is going to cater to Mumbai, Gurgaon and Delhi, but there's an expectation that there could be multiple showrooms across India. Next, equally important, that whole trade-off between import versus make in India, that is likely to really decide how much of a big game changer India is going to be for Elon Musk's companies. Why? Because India is very clear that you cannot import, because if you do, you're going to be charged 70% to 100% import duties. If you make in India, we're going to slash it down to 15% as per the EV policy, but you've got to commit $500 million as local investment. For Elon Musk, that's a very tough task simply because he cannot upset Donald Trump anymore. But India is equally important for another reason why Prime Minister Modi and Elon Musk are likely to continue that negotiation, and that is because of Starlink launch, where all regulatory hurdles, viewers, have been cleared. There's expectation that spectrum will be allocated fairly soon, and then Starlink will have a big bang launch in India, which is probably when Elon Musk is likely to be in India towards the later half of this year. On that note, viewers, I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back and address some of the other key stories that we are looking at in this show. Stay with us.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
कहना इस दीवार पे इतने इश्तहार चिपके हैं कि कोई दरार नजर नहीं आती। मैं उन लोगों में से जो कहता हूँ सारे इश्तहार फाड़ के फेंको, पहले दरार को एड्रेस करो।
ये दरार इसलिए क्योंकि कुछ लेफ्ट कुछ राइट
पर हम उन मुद्दों में आपके साथ जिनसे आपकी फाइट है। डिजिटल से देश समझा, अब टीवी पर समाधान लाना है। आइए मेरे साथ खबरों की कचहरी में, सिर्फ एनडीटीवी पर।
कोई जरूरत तो उसको इंटरव्यू देने की।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
किसने हक दिया आपको हाथ उठाने का?
अगर फिर से कोई ऐसी गलती करेगा तो मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं।
सर आप लाइव हैं एनडीटीवी पर।
मैं सही बात कर रहा हूं तो
आपकी जो आवाज है,
आप मेरी आवाज ब्रेक मत कीजिए, मेरा पूरा सुन
देखा है, सबने सुना है।
मैं तुम्हारी बात नहीं करूंगा। ये क्या पद्धति है? ये बात करते हैं तो मैं नहीं करूंगा बात इनसे।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।